Hey, how you doing? I hope you're doing well. Thanks for stopping by the channel today. My name's Robert and this is Pheasant Lane Farm. So, as you can see behind me, the shell of our multi-species kind of livestock and horse barn combo is done. I've been getting a lot of emails and messages about this saying, hey, what happened with the barn videos? Well, it is currently October 20th. They started this barn on September 20th. And let me just say, there was more rain days than there were working days. This barn was actually finished about a week and a half ago, last Monday. And I've been waiting to do this video because it's just been dreary, overcast, rainy, cold. And I was like, I'm gonna wait till we get a nice sunny day to shoot this video. Try and give you guys the full experience. So, behind me is the barn that my wife and I kind of custom designed. Came up with a concept and kind of ran with it. So let's go over some of the specs. I'll tell you kind of why we designed it this way. And at the very end, the biggest question I've been getting, there's one of the bills. I have everything wrote out and I'll tell you down to the penny how much money we have in this barn. So real quick, I want to thank Shannon, a good friend of ours, for building this barn. I had actually talked to a few other builders, and like I said earlier, for you guys that have been longtime subscribers, after my accident, I always wished of just building our own barn. I knew that wasn't going to happen. I talked to some other builders, but I felt like I was kind of disconnected, that they would just come in, erect this building, and we'd be done. So I was talking to a guy we hang out with, and he's built beautiful barns. And he's built homes, and he goes, you know what, I'll build your barn. And I was kind of shocked, and I looked at my wife and I go, what? I'm like, I thought you were retired from building barns. He said, I will build your barn and I will teach you as we go, and then someday you can build your own barn. And that meant the world to me right there. So Shannon, thank you very much for the big impact you've had on our lives and this property. We kind of had a concept where we wanted horses and we wanted livestock, but we didn't want to build two barns. I originally wanted to build something a little wider, like a 40 by 60, and add some lean-tos off of it. I was talking to a guy at a building supply store one time, and he goes, well, why don't you just enclose the barn and keep running out the trusses? He goes, it'll be a lot cheaper. So I did some research. I designed this barn, the concept, I should say. Shannon actually laid everything out and drew it up for us. And it's way cheaper to keep extending your roof line and your trusses than it is to build lean-tos. Now, this building behind us, the whole structure is 30 wide by 80 long. Now, a lot of people think 30 by 40 horse barn, that's pretty tight. It is if you put your doors in the gable ends. We kind of switched it around. We put the doors in the eave side. That gives us about a 13-foot aisleway and gives us enough room for 6 10 by 12 horse stalls. We're going to build 5 in here. Right there you can see the man door. That will be a little tack room. We'll have 2 stalls on that side, 3 stalls on this side, and cattle and hay storage on this side. Now this isn't going to stay totally open, and we will get to that in a minute. Sitting down and talking with Shannon about how we wanted this barn to be built, I asked a ton of questions. I felt like kiddo does to me sometimes. She's 7 years old and we do something and she goes, why'd you do it that way? And I explain it to her and she goes, but why? But why? But why? I was the same way to the guys that were here building this barn. Why? And they didn't get frustrated with me, or if they did, they didn't let me know about it. I wanted to know every single thing, why you do it this way from the ground up. Now, this barn, one of the proudest things I am about it, if I said that right, is this barn is perfectly square. The 80-foot runs are exactly 80 feet. The 30-foot runs are exactly 30 feet. And when I say exactly, they're not even a 1/16 of an inch out. On ground level and 13, 14 feet in the air. Shannon is an absolute amazing builder. He said this is the last barn he was ever going to build, so don't ask me for his information. But he is a perfectionist, and when you're having someone build a barn that costs money, I would rather have a perfectionist build it. It's going to take a little longer than someone who's just going to throw it up in a few days and move on to the next project. So this barn, one of the main things, this is 4-foot on center trusses. It really did not add that extra money, or that much extra money, to go 4-foot trusses over 8-foot. 4-foot, if you ever decide down the road that we want to finish this off and use it for something other than livestock, it's a lot easier to do. The purlins can be laid down, they're not standing up, and it just makes the barn that much more, I guess you could say, sturdy. So 4-foot on center trusses completely through on the whole 80-foot run. We opted for 12-inch overhangs on all 4 sides of the barn. One reason is it looks a lot better. This barn actually sits about 120 yards in front of our house. Our house is all the way at the back of our property. And so it's something that we can kind of see out the front window of our house. There's some trees in between, but my wife wanted it to look nice, and it's not much extra money to add 12-inch overhangs all the way around. This barn does not yet have gutters on it. It will, and we're still deciding on a cupola, whether we're going one big one, 2 small ones, windows are slatted, and we're just going to think about that over the winter. Now that the barn's up, we have time to worry about that. Then we'll have Shannon come back next spring and throw that on. We went with the thickest metal we could find. This is out of from a company here in Ohio called North Star Metal. It's the thickest stuff they offer, at least through our builder supply. And also, it really didn't add that much money in the grand scheme of things. You can see on all 4 corners, whoop, whoop, kind of weird pointing in the camera backwards. I wanted some natural light coming in this barn. Originally, I had these Lexan panels running all the way across. Now, if you have your doors in your gable end, that's cool. On this side, if we would have ran them all the way across, you would just see the 2 giant LVLs here above these 14-foot wide garage doors. So, Shannon said, hey, you'll have some extra Lexan panels. You ever get hail, blah, blah, you might need them. Let's just put gray metal across the top. I think it'll look a lot better. I'm glad he did. We can hang a sign or something up there. And it's kind of cool inside the barn that all 4 corners have natural light coming in them. Now, right now I'm facing the north. So this is the north side of the barn. Other side is the south. And so we'll get plenty of light in there. One other thing, our 10-foot tall by 14-foot wide garage doors are on back order. We ordered those 2 months ago, and they're scheduled to be here in January. So coming down, as you can see right here, I get a lot of questions on this. This side of the barn is completely sealed. There's soffit on all 3 sides, and there's sheet metal up in here. We did not choose to run soffit on this side because that's the open style livestock barn. If you lay soffit in there, yes, it would have looked nice, but you're just asking for birds to get up there and build nests. So yeah, it's not as aesthetically pleasing, but it'll work out just fine. We opted for wainscoting for 2 reasons. Number 1, it looks nice. Number 2, kiddo has 4-wheelers. We have horses. There's a big circle drive that starts way over here, comes just on the other side of the barn, and goes out to another driveway that hooks to our main driveway. Someone takes a wide turn, bumper hits it. It's a lot easier to replace a 3-foot section of metal than it is to replace a larger section of metal. Something else on the wainscoting, after talking to Shannon about it, a lot of guys will put the screws at the very top of the wainscoting so you don't see it and it's hidden by trim. Yes, that looks nice. The bad part about that is if you have to replace 1 or 2 sections of wainscoting, you're actually bending that trim up. It's going to crease. It's never going to look the same. So we opted to have the screws just below the wainscoting. You don't notice it, and it makes it a lot easier if you have to repair that in the future. Coming down to, so we covered the roof metal. There is an 80-foot ridge cap, vented ridge cap all the way across. Something else that was kind of a, I'm not going to say a huge upcharge, but a decent upcharge on this barn is the perma columns. Now, these are a couple feet of 10,000 PSI concrete. There is a steel U-bracket that has rebar on the bottom that's actually set into that. And then on top, there's triple laminated 2x6s that are glued together and then just nailed. I was told that the nails just hold them together until the glue fastens or hardens. And then they're actually run through a planer on all four sides. So those poles are guaranteed straighter and stronger than anything else on the market. One thing I like about this barn, there's perma columns all the way through both sides of the barn. There's no wood in the ground. Theoretically, as long as we keep a good roof on this barn, we don't ever get leaks or damage, this barn could be here 100, 200 years from now, just like a lot of the old farm barns that I grew up with that were built in the 1860s. Another thing, it was about a $750 upcharge. Besides the nails that were used in the manufacturing process of the perma columns and the nails on the aluminum and steel trim around the doors, there's absolutely zero nails in the construction of this barn. Everything was screwed together with GRK structural fasteners. Now I'm talking trusses to the poles, the header boards that the trusses are sitting on. Nothing is nailed, and like I said, it was an upcharge, but it's one that we talked about and it was kind of a no-brainer. Number one, it's not going anywhere. Number two, if you do have to replace something, it's a lot easier to get in there and back it off with an impact than it is with a hammer. What else am I thinking about now? Oh, we designed this barn with extra girts. The reason being, and I'll show a picture in a moment or right now, we opted to hang our stall boards on the horse side vertically. I think it looks nice. Number two, when you lay them horizontally, you're usually going on the inside of your poles and you lose a little bit of space. A lot of people don't realize in these horse barns, the dimension, or these pole barns I should say, the dimension is on the outside of the girts, not counting the metal. So if you say a 30 by 40, on the 30 side, you're automatically losing 3 inches for your outside girts, or just imagine that your poles are set 1.5 inches in. And then you have the width of your poles, whether it be 4x4s, 4x6s, 6x6s, these perma columns. So basically the barn's only 29 wide on the inside. That really messes people up when they go to put in prefabbed stall fronts. Something to consider. I thought about that and then kind of forgot about it. That's one of the regrets on this barn. There's not many. I wish we would have went 32 wide, but hindsight's 20/20. So we still got some cleanup to do, and that's the big things. 4 foot on centers, perma columns, everything structurally screwed together. So let's go in there. We'll show you around, get you some close-ups, and then we'll go over the price sheet. All right, don't mind the wood and the tarps. We got some cleanup to do before we start hauling in some stone. Another thing I forgot to mention, up here on the roof, you can see the white on the back. We did opt for a felt coating. Helps with condensation so it's not dripping down on the animals, and it really knocks down the decibels of if you have light hail or rain. So that was kind of a 2-for deal, 2 for 1, and we thought, hey, that'd be a great idea. Now over here you can see I made 2 changes on this barn mid-build. One of them, the barn was originally designed 12 feet tall. They were getting ready to trim off the perma columns, and I said, wait, is there any way before you trim that off we can bump this up a foot? So this barn became a 13 foot tall. Currently it's 14 feet, and you can see I have to haul stone in to the bottom grade of that grade board. The horse side will have a 15 foot wide, I said 13 earlier, a 15 foot wide concrete aisleway, and there will be a concrete pad on this side per a vet recommendation to put cattle on. As long as you keep it deep bedded, we'll be good to go. The other big change I made, this barn was designed originally to have this backside, this kind of shared wall that separates the horse barn from the cattle, fully metalled and wainscoted. I was talking to Shannon when we were getting ready to do this part, and I said, wait, time out. I notice a lot of your big farm shops now, they're running the really nice sanded grade plywood vertically. It's easier to hang shelves and stuff on than it is going through the ribbed metal. I said, there's going to be livestock on this side. Can we run plywood 8 foot up and then continue the metal? And he goes, that's a great idea. So went and bought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 sheets of, could have just done the math, but 8 sheets of 3/4 inch ply treated plywood. It's not the best stuff I've seen, but it'll probably get replaced. Beggars can't be choosers right now when it comes to plywood. But this side of the barn is completely sealed off. There's a drip edge up there, and really trying to keep the one side of the barn super tight. And I'll get you a better view on the trim there. We stopped the trim at the top of the metal. And another big thing I want to go over, I get a lot of questions about on this side, is it going to stay open? Well, actually, from grade up, I'm gonna go 5 feet with treated 2x, I don't know, 2x8, 2x10, 2x12s. There'll be a gate over here on this side somewhere, I'm not sure where. And I believe there's a company called Farm Tech. If it's wrong, I will change it in the video. But I've been talking to them, a really nice lady named Joyce, and we ordered 2 curtains, like you see in a lot of your big cattle barns. They will attach up at the top and will roll up and down depending on the weather for ventilation. So it will be kind of, I guess you could say, a hybrid enclosed barn. There'll always be the bottom stall kickboards, and then the top can go up and down. If we do need to put a portable horse pen over on this side, that'll be perfectly fine also. So videos on that will be coming. I've been recruiting some family and friends to come over and help us get a lot of this done. This end of the barn is also covered in sheet metal, just for a nice finished look. But you can see what I mean up here. There's really no sense putting soffit in there, because the birds would just go over top of those 2x10s or 12s, whatever they are. Hard to tell from here. And build nests, and I don't want to be getting up in a ladder. All right, so we're standing on the north side of the barn looking towards the south side, and you can see what I mean right there above the Kubota, above that black trim aluminum wrap. That is a 14-foot wide LVL beam that supports those 3 trusses over top of the garage door. Now, if we would have ran the Lexan panels all the way across, you would just see the backside of that LVL beam. So I kind of like how he made the recommendation to put metal over the middle. Like I said, it puts a nice place. We can hang, you know, a Pheasant Lane Farm sign or, you know, whatever up there. You can see all the natural light that comes in from those Lexan panels, especially over there on the wall. It does a fantastic job. So we're very excited about that. That is our man door. Over here, there will be, probably gonna make a 90 right here. The door swings to the left. So when you walk in, it'll walk out this way. There'll be a 10-foot by 12-foot roughly, except for that little knockout for the door, tack room. Trying to use the most efficient use of space that we can do, and I can make that tack room extra tall. And then 2 horse stalls on this side, and then going over here, there will be 3 horse stalls. There you can see the other side of that divider wall. You can see where at the top we have 2x4 girts, actually 1, and then we space these out a little differently. From the middle of this bottom grade board to the top of that board right there is 6 foot. That's how tall we decided to put our stall boards. There's no need to go any higher. We really don't plan on getting draft horses again. So paints and quarters won't have a problem with that. That pretty much wraps up the barn, kind of why we designed it. We still got to build cattle pens on that side, horse stalls on this side. Like I said, the cupola still has to go up, garage doors, and concrete. But I'm trying to keep this video short. Hopefully it was good points. I've been getting a lot of questions. I posted some pictures on different Facebook groups during the build, and I've been getting a ton of questions. I usually don't share my videos to Facebook groups, but I may, just because I've been getting so many questions and private messages on them. So give me about 5 more minutes, guys. I'm gonna wrap everything up. So we didn't hire the builder in a traditional sense that, you know, we just write one check to the builder. We went through a building supply company that he deals with. He ordered everything, and then the bills just come to me. I just paid the bills. So I had one bill, this was the original, for all the lumber, so the perma columns. So we'll go through all of this. This one was my perma columns, all my 2x material, 2x4s, 2x6s. I think I had some 8s and 12s on there. The LVLs, concrete was also on this one, bagged concrete. Let's see. Guys, it's a little bit of an upcharge. These perma columns were $5,800. That's probably one of the biggest expenses in this barn. Concrete wasn't that much, 2x8s, blah blah blah, you know, a couple $100 here, a couple $100 there. Let's see, the LVLs were $550 for 2 of those. Now the plywood for the end is not on this bill. I actually went and had to buy that separately one night. Another thing I'm proud of on this barn is we dealt with a local building supplier. We dealt with a local builder. The metal, the trusses, the perma columns all came from Ohio. A few of the things we had to go through, big box stores, like we couldn't find enough screws, the GRKs. It is what it is. So when we ordered this barn, all the material, like locked it in 2 months ago, it was $2,000 cheaper now than what the original quote was on this material because lumber fell. I know since we built this barn, lumber's trending back up and no one knows where metal is going. So real quick, let me go over materials and then we'll talk about labor. So what's on the barn now? We had $750 in screws. This first bill here for all my lumber, concrete, perma columns, all that stuff was $15,723.98. The bill for the metal, I actually stopped and paid that today, $12,142.23. That plywood on the end ran me about $420. The door was $170 from Menards. If you want to get real technical, I got about $330 in the 60 ton of stone for this pad. We haul it all ourselves, so there's no freight on that. The dozer to come in and excavate all of this. Now granted, that's going to change where you are. He did all this stuff behind me. He did a parking pad up here. He did work for me behind the house, but it was stupid cheap for what I thought it was going to be. The dozer, a fairly large dozer, was $600 for the day. I don't think that's bad with an operator. Now fuel, we use Shannon's skid steer. We used my Kubota. Shannon did some other stuff around here. I feel if you're at my house and you're doing work, I can at least supply you the fuel because he didn't charge me anything for having his skid steer here for 3 weeks. So between that and some fuel in the truck, I had about $175 what we put in the transfer tank. So that brings our bill for materials, stone, and a dozer to $30,311.21. Now, some other expenses that I threw in that you wouldn't have to, or I should say that haven't been done yet. I got about $850 for treated wood that has to go in down there on the bottom for my curtains to come down to. $850 is what estimated price was. Concrete for this barn and for the other pad over there, I got a quote for $2,200. I also think that was very cheap for 14 yards of concrete, and that includes labor. Another thing, these guys are friends. I went and bought them lunch every day. Every night I would stock up 2 Arctic coolers we have over here for these guys, and they even told me in all their years of building they'd never been catered to like this. Over the weeks, like I said, they didn't work every day. I don't think they ever worked a Friday, which was cool because I always have physical therapy and all that kind of stuff. Between food and drinks, I think I spent $350 for these guys. Now the first half of the bill, there was 4 guys here. At the end it was just Shannon and myself trying to help him. You know, if I could, basically I was just a gopher. If I could hand him a impact or hand him screws, all stuff like that. So we're right around $33,361.21. I don't think that included the curtains, so add on another $1,400, which is way cheaper to enclose that with curtains than it is to with metal. Now let's talk about labor. When Shannon agreed to build my barn, I know he is known for building absolute quality. He's a master woodworker, and he takes this stuff very serious. And everyone that stopped over at this barn can't believe how straight this thing is and how plumb it is. And it is perfect on diagonals. When you pull the diagonals or the runs, everything is exactly to the inch it was designed to be. 80 feet is 80 feet, not 80 feet and an eighth. So I can't really give you a price on labor. If you were paying a builder to build this barn for you, I've went out and talked to some guys and got just what labor would have cost me. This barn should have cost between $15,000 and $20,000 in labor. So it would bring your total up to, on the high end, you figure $55,000 for this barn. Now, Shannon, being the friend he is, an amazing guy, just one of those people that when you meet him, you're like, wow, this dude's a rare breed. So you can imagine how cheap my labor was. One of the other gentlemen that was out here helping Shannon build this barn refused to take any money from me. He said he's retired, he enjoys doing this kind of work, and he purely just enjoys working with Shannon and learning how Shannon does things. Which that guy's the one who brought the auger. I didn't have to rent a skid steer, I didn't have to rent an auger. And we were able to lift all the trusses and everything between the skid steer and my Kubota L3901. So I paid almost nothing for labor. I'm kind of ashamed to say that. It is what it is. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for the new viewers. My wife and I bought this property beginning of 2020. Started off great, got married, bought a property, sold our old house. Things got really bad. Actually, 6 days from now will be the 1-year anniversary when I almost lost my life at work. I was drugged down the road. We'll get into that some other time. Still not 100% comfortable about talking with that. She had court 2 weeks ago, the person that did this to me, and she is currently in prison. So I'm happy to be alive. Do I want to be in physical therapy 3 times a week a year after this happened? No. There's some other things coming down the line soon, and we'll talk about it because this has been my outlet. I appreciate all of you who watch and subscribe and comment. Feel free to email us, pheasantlanefarm@gmail.com. I have a lot of time on my hands. I enjoy meeting people from all over the world and conversing back and forth through email. So thank you guys for always being there for us. New viewers, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know it went a little long. I try and give you guys exact 100% transparency on why we did it, what we would have done different, and pricing, because a lot of people, I notice on these forums, they'll ask, well, what did that cost? And people are like, if you got to ask, you can't afford it. Really? I just don't agree with that. So we worked hard, we saved a lot of money, and we were able to do it now, so we did it. Because I told my wife if we wait another year, we might not be able to build this barn, and this is the reason we bought this property. So take care, everybody. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. God bless. Make smart decisions.